Hey guys, welcome back. Over Bomb here, bringing you the second episode of Showdown Lowdown. Today, as you can tell by the screen, we're talking about this fluffy cloud over here, Mega Altaria. Now, Mega Altaria is a really interesting and quote-unquote unexpected Mega for that Oris brought, and man, this thing is a demon. S-ranked, by the way. Just like we talked about last time with Charizard Y. Charizard Y was I think it's A ranked, not A plus. Let me double check. Yeah, it's A ranked. This thing is S ranked. And you would think that, something is not, it has a lot of pretty high stats. That's true. It's got 110, 105 special defense, 80 speed, 75 HP. Not the most threatening looking Mon out there, but what he lacks in insane stats, which quote-unquote insane stats, because that's arguably a really, really, really good stat spread. But what he lacks in that, he makes up in with his diversity in a move pool, his versatility, and his typing, and his ability. Let's just start with the typing. Mega Altaria is really interesting because it's the only Dragon Fairy type right now, and man, is to make great use of it. With his typing, it's the only dragon type that's immune to dragons, which is great on its own. Sure, it's weak to fairy still, ice, poison, steel, the common things, but look at all these resistances. Very, very heavily offensive typings in the OU tier. Bug, so stop Scissor's bug type moves. Dark, resist electric, resist fighting, resist fire, grass, water. All of these things that you see a lot in the OU team when it comes to heavily offensive Mons, alright? And he resists them. He goes really well in pretty much any team because of his versatility. Those stats, you can do whatever you want with it. Like, you can make him offensive, physically offensive, especially offensive, mixed if you want to do it. A physical wall, special wall, tanking up hits. It's got the ability to pixelate too. Now, what's cool about the ability to pixelate is it turns normal type moves to fairy type moves, and it gets a 1.3 power boost, and it will get stab right after that, same type attack bonus. That's great on its own. That means return or frustrate hits like a nuke. This thing is powerful. It's also got a bunch of other move options, but I'll go over that in a second. Actually, I'll go over that right now. Look at that, it's just beautiful. I love the yellow on the Altaria. But yeah, this thing can run attacks like Return, Facade, or because Return, they have a max power of 102. Same with Frustration. I could also learn Double Edge if you're not afraid of recoil. That's 120 base power. Combine that with Pixelate, that becomes a Fairy type move with, what is it? Like 160. It becomes 160 base power fairy type move, and then you add stab on top of that. That's crazy. Alright? You also get Facade because obviously if you're running a physical set, you don't want to get burned, but then Facade will help you take care of that because Facade is powerful. Let me show you all what Facade does if you guys don't know. Most of you should know, but for those who don't. It's 70 base power, but it doubles if you're burned, paralyzed, or poisoned, which becomes a 140 base power move. That's insane. Add that with Pixelate, and that's insanity. Also, if you guys like to run a really bulky one, you can run Cotton Guard. That raises defense by 3. That's not doubling your defense. That's a 2.5 increase in your defense stats. That's amazing. You will take about 30% from a choice banded Scizor using Bullet Punch when you have a Cotton Guard up. What else can you run? You can run, to mitigate your speed, Dragon Dance. Dragon Dance increases your attack and defense, or attack and speed by +1, which will really help you if you're trying to outspeed things. I have actually, I'll talk about that later, but Dragon Dance is an amazing move, especially if you're going to run a physical set. You can run Dragon Dance, Return, which is really it, because Return's only resisted by Fire, Steel, and Poison. Other than that, it doesn't resist anything else. But if you're worried about trying to hit all those types, you have nearly perfect coverage if you combine it with an Earthquake. Earthquake hits all the things that you're worried about super effectively, like besides Ferrothorn. Let me see if I can pull up the viability list for you. let's see. Return will hit this. Return will hit this. Earthquake will hit Metagross. This is a really good example right there. Return will hit Azumarill, Bisharp. Earthquake will hit Charizard for super effective damage. Let's see. What else resist? I mean, Gengar is an example of being immune and resisting the other, but Gengar is also frail, so it's going to die to like a +1 or +2 or return, depending on your investments on your Altaria. Heatran is a really good example. 4 times resist return after the Fairy Boost, but then it's 4 times weak to Earthquake. This example is like that. The only thing you have to watch out for are things like Scizor and Ferrothorn, who take neutral to Earthquake and resist the fairy type moves. So usually, if you're worried about that, you can run things like, I don't know, Flamethrower, which is 4 times effective against both of those. I think you learn Fire Blast. It learns Fire Blast for sure. Also, if you want to run a really bulky set, I mean, it flies in the air. Of course, it's going to learn Roost. And one thing that people don't use often, that is very overlooked but amazing on Altaria, is Refresh. Completely healing you from any status. That's very useful if you're running a bulky Altaria and you don't want to sit up. Like, say you want to just Dragon Dance in the face of a Rotom or a Heatran, things that aren't gonna be killing you but will status you. You can just Refresh Roost, Dragon Dance, and then you can run any attacking move you want. Usually you want to run Return because it does a lot of damage. I mean, it's what makes Altaria amazing. Let me make this thing shiny real quick. Boom. Anyways, back to this. If you're afraid of people setting up on you because you have to do a lot of setting up, you can do Roar, or you can even do Haze. Haze will eliminate all stat changes. Roar just roars them out. What else can you do? One thing that people need to avoid doing that I can't stress this enough. It's a dragon type, sure. Do not teach it any dragon type moves, because why would you need to? The only thing dragon is super effective against is dragon itself. But since you have a fairy type move with return because of Pixelate, then that's already super effective against dragons. You do not need a dragon type move on Altaria unless you really want to run a lot of like a really powerful Outrage or Draco Meteor. And that's another thing. Just because it learns Dragon Dance doesn't mean that you need to use a physical Altaria. It also gets Hyper Voice. Hyper Voice, 90 base power. You can run it with Pixelate. That's also an insanely powerful move. If you want to be that guy and run a Hyper Beam with Pixelate, be my guest. That works really well too. But yeah, those are just some of the amazing options that you can learn with Mega Altaria. And it works really well with a lot of Pokemon. It's very useful in a balanced team, stall team. You usually want to avoid having hazards on the field just because it's a flying dragon type before it Mega Evolves, so it will take 25% from Stealth Rocks. So try to get rid of those. You want to pair it with something like Magnezone, so it can trap steel types like Skarmory, Ferrothorn, Scizors, and then hit them with either a Thunderbolt or a Hidden Power Fire. You can run other things that slow things down. I like to run a Clefable with Thunder Wave myself. I'm actually going to leave an annotation right around here for a video of me using a Mega Altaria team, just like I'm going to start doing with all my Showdown Lowdowns over Pokemon. This thing is a threat. It's S ranked because it's super unpredictable. Whenever you fight against an Altaria, please be sure that you always scout out what it has. Be ready to roar it out or use Haze, something like that. You can't use Dragon Tail because it's a fairy type. Remember that. You can't. It's immune to Dragon type moves. But yeah, I mean, things like Altaria, let me just show you what it kills. It kills Keldeo with a return. Landorus with a +1 return most likely. Or Hyper Voice or whatever you want to do. Metagross with an Earthquake. Azumarill, Bisharp. Like, there's not many things that will survive Altaria. It two-shots a bold, what was it? I think it two-shots an Eviolite, Bold, Clefable with return at +2. That's how strong this thing is. Max invested in defense. This thing is a monster. But yeah, that's my little rundown over Mega Altaria. If you guys like this video, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, Give me suggestions on what you guys want me to go over in Showdown Lowdown. And hey, thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all later.